Hello there, and welcome to the InnerMedia podcast. I'm Josh Karam, and with me as always is Ted Karam.
Hey guys.
Now today is another Avatar topic. We're doing Avatar back to back, which is really exciting. We're taking it a little bit back. I know we did like the end of the series, but there was some stuff we wanted to go over within the series. It just, Sozin's comment and the whole end was just so impactful. We had to just say we can't wait on it anymore.
No.
We wanted to just do
There's
it.
so much in the Avatar series.
It's great. It's all full of good things.
We'll be doing more even.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't the end of it. No. It's just going to keep on coming. So today we're going to be talking mostly about the swamp episode and things that surround that. So that's all in book 2. I know I haven't been putting spoiler alerts in the text just because they happen so early. So I'm just going to say it now. Spoiler alert from this point. We're going to be talking basically around all of book 2, and it will probably include things from our last podcast. So know that this is mostly the swamp. If we get too much in the Sozin's comment, I will put that in the text just so people know, hey, you might want to watch the whole Avatar series before you listen to this.
Yeah.
So this episode, I think, is really impactful and like a really cool way to start. I think season 1 has a lot of spiritual wisdom, but this is just like right from the beginning. This is episode 4 of book 2. It kind of hits with a thing that just impacts the rest of the series, right? And even from a season standpoint, this impacts the last episode.
They all tie together.
It's really well written.
It's amazing.
Let's just put it that way.
It's amazing. It really is.
So basically, synopsis-wise, Aang, Sokka, and Katara. Aang is drawn to the swamp they're flying over, and they get pulled down by a tornado. And they're in the swamp, and they start seeing visions. Sokka and Katara see it of people they've lost, Uwe and their mother, Kaya. And Aang sees somebody he's never met before. And this is all coming off of Bumi not being able to teach Aang because he doesn't want to leave Omashu. Right. He knows it's not his time to leave. He knows he has to stay. And he's like, you have to find someone who waits and listens to the earth like I do. And then they meet this really wise guy who is the swamp monster at first. He seems like this bad swamp guy. But he's just a really nice swamp bender living in the swamp. And he has a quote for the Avatar when he brings him to the great tree. And this is our Master Wizard Jedi quote right here. So let me read it off to you. You think you're any different from me or your friends or this tree? If you listen hard enough, you can hear every living thing breathing together. You can feel everything growing. We're all living together, even if most folks don't act like it. We all have the same roots, and we're all the same. All branches of the same tree. You got it. You got it.
Oh my gosh.
So
that is so good.
Why don't we start from the beginning here, right? So the idea that everything is connected. So Sokka's skeptical, you know what I mean? He thinks it's just a bunch of swamp gas that's causing them to have illusions.
There's nothing mysterious here. Nothing connected here.
But, you know, Kaya's dead. Uwe sacrificed herself. And Aang hasn't met this person yet.
Yeah.
How are we connected to things that don't exist now?
This is a great question.
Episode.
And it all ties back to what Hugh is telling these guys, you know, Aang and the others, that everything is connected. All is one. And this has been a theme that we've been dancing around and through in all these podcasts. And it really is the heart of everything. It's coming home to a realization within ourselves that we are so much more than we know ourselves to be. That there's this energetic nature, and it's infinite. And it binds us together with everything that is. It binds us together with the source of all life. And this swamp is a perfect analogy of it. I mean, the way they use this is just amazing. And how when Hugh brings them to the center of the swamp, you know, Aang's kind of being called there, they see this banyan tree. Yeah. And the banyan tree is just amazing, right? Because the banyan tree, the way it works is one tree comes up, but then its roots go down, and then other trees spring up, and then other trees spring up, and the whole forest, the whole world, the whole universe is just one tree connected through these roots. Now, that's just so powerful because it's just like the ocean and the waves, right? We typically walk around every day as if we're separate beings. You know, we all like the philosophy, Josh. We all somehow maybe subscribe to, we're all connected, everything is one, that's nice. You know, but we don't really know it. We don't really live it because we don't really sense it. We don't really feel it. It's not real for us. And that's what this short little children's cartoon is all about. It's just it is real, and if we get in touch with that, see, because we don't know it, because we're just living high beta brainwaves through the analytical, rational thinking mind and the physical world, and if it's not physical, it's not real. But on the other hand, we would say some of the most important things in life are not physical: love and joy and sense of wonder and being happy. So there is a deeper part to us that we want to connect with here. That's what this calling's all about. And when they're as you were talking about earlier, when Aang and Katara and Sokka, they have visions in the swamp, and Katara and Sokka see someone from their past that they've lost, right? Their mother and his old girlfriend. But Aang sees someone from the future, right? Somebody he hasn't even seen yet. That doesn't even know. What happens is when we unify, this is so important, because when we unify with the whole of being, which is what the swamp is all about, which is what the banyan tree represents, when we unify with the whole of being, when we plug in and tune in and connect with the whole of life, we transcend the illusion of space and time. So there's temporal separation, there's spatial separation. All separation is ultimately illusion. We come home to realize that all time is now, that we're here. The four fundamentals: all is here, all is now, all is one, because all is good, all is divine presence, all is the one life, all is the source. So how we talked about, so Aang can tune into the future in the same way that the others tuned into the past. So it's from here now. So here we are now, and we project a past from here and now. We're here now. We project a future. This is why it's so important to change our vibration here and now. Why? Because when we do, we change our perception and experience of the past. We'll still have the memories, we'll still have the imagery, but what it means for us, everything we overlay upon it, its total significance in our life can change when we change the now. And the same is true for remember the water drops? We're dripping water drops here and now. We're offering vibration constantly here and now, and those waves are going out. Those waves are going out into and preceding us in the future. When we meet up with them in the future, where are those waves created? In the vibration we're offering now. So just like in Flash, remember in the movie, in the TV show Flash, they can change, they can shift timelines. You can shift on different timelines because infinite quantum physics tells us infinite possibilities exist here and now, and we just tune into them. We become a vibrational match to them, and it changes us. It changes our very nature. The other way of looking at this in terms of time, how when Hugh says, we're all connected, and they can, time is an illusion, as is death is an illusion. The wagon wheel. Remember the old Western wagon wheels? When we proceed along the outside of the wheel, that's linear time. So, right here on the wheel is maybe 2000 BC, and then 8, and then 2000 AD is where we are down here. And so we're going along in this linear fashion, and we just spiral around and around and around infinitely in just time. But when we come home to the center of the swamp, when we come home to the banyan tree, when we realize unity within ourselves, we transcend that illusion. It's like taking a spoke, one of the spokes along that wagon wheel, to the center of the hub. And from the center of the hub of the wheel, we can see and experience all time. We're outside of time. And so now time becomes simultaneous for us. We're no longer living in a linear sense. We're in a nonlinear experience of time. But anyway, when we listen deeply, when we're listening and we're present, right? That is the first step in the wisdom. Be still and know, right? So being still, listening, being poised, entering the state of grace here and now. That's when, remember, we go from an individual consciousness, and when our awareness expands out into our universal nature. We go from the water drop or the wave to the whole ocean, to the whole pond. We go from thinking we're just one individual tree or branch on a tree to realizing our roots beneath the surface. We're connected with all of life. We're one with all of life. And so it's from here that when we change our vibration in the present moment, right? The water, the drip, drip, drip. We're always offering energy vibrations. We're always broadcasting. As we sow, so shall we reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What does that mean? That means that everything that we send out vibrationally comes back to us, bounces off the mirror of life. So again, it's said that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Why? Because we change our experience of our childhood when? Now, by changing what? Our vibration, by being the change. It's like Mahatma Gandhi said, we be the change here and now. That changes the waves that go out. That changes our experience of a projected future and a projected past. Where from this moment? So it's all here. It's all now. And that's what you is trying to teach them, that the experience of time, temporal separation, is an illusion.
Yeah.
The experience of spatial separation is an illusion. All is here, all is now, all is one.
Well, as we know, Aang always has this mindset to help people, and that's just the awareness that he has to being connected to people. In the swamp, he learns, we're all just one big tree. It doesn't matter what other people think. And it's interesting because time is an illusion. The answer to the question that was plaguing him, where he's like, I need to learn earthbending because I have to master all 4 elements, presents itself now because all time is now. So solutions, right, is I need to learn earthbending, and I need a teacher. And Boomy's like the best earthbender, so it has to be Boomy. But it can't be Boomy because Boomy knows that he can't leave. He has to. He knows that he is representing neutral Jin, which is one of the 87 different Jins. But let's focus on the first 3 first. Neutral Jin is just waiting and listening to the earth. It's the key to earthbending. So the universe sets in motion through the swamp because Aang realizes that all time is now. We're all the same tree. So the answer's already there in the present. Then he needs someone who waits and listens to the earth.
Right.
And inevitably, it turns out to be Toph, the girl with the flying bison.
Right.
So,
who he sees in the swamp.
Yeah, which is great that it's all now, right? So he sees the solution to his problem. We skip a little bit ahead to where Toph is training Aang, and it's interesting because the thing that always got me is that Toph is tough.
That's her name.
Toph's tough. Her name is Toph, basically.
Yeah. And she is tough.
Yeah, and the thing that always get me is that we're all one, right? But earthbending's so hard for Aang.
Yeah.
It's hard for him to get. And when I was younger, I never understood the idea. It's like, oh, Aang's just being passive. He's being kind with it. Why does he have to be all rock hard with fighting and toughing?
Like an earthbender. Yeah.
So the question in the end is, right, if all the elements in the end are the same, because the swamp is telling us that everything is the same, why does Aang have to accept a different part of his personality to be able to earthbend? Why does he have to become like a little more aggressive and stand his ground to bend something that should be the same because it's all energy? Right?
That's a great question, Josh. Yeah, no, how? So again, we're talking here about the elements, and you're saying that, as Hugh tells them, all the elements are really one element.
Yeah.
It's really all energy. It's really all energy bending, no matter what. But why is it more difficult for him to bend earth? Compared to air, which is just natural for him. And as you say, it's his opposite nature, right?
Yeah.
Earth and air, fire and water. So it goes against his conditioning, goes against his years and years of programming subconsciously. And so that's why it's challenging. So through the practice of earth bending, he learns to bring forth his inner power, his inner strength. And what is it all about? It's all about coming back to that banyan tree. It's all about realizing unity. Why? Because in unity, we realize our true strength. We realize all of a sudden we're tapped in, we're tuned in, we're plugged into the whole of life, the energy that is running universes. And when that happens, what happens to us? We have resolve, we have courage, we have energy. What to do? What? To stand in the power of our presence. To stand in your power. And that's what you're looking for, the ability to stand in your personal power. That doesn't mean to control or manipulate or attack or others. It means to just be you, to be you fully, to express you just the way you are without worrying about or being concerned about what anyone else thinks, right? Because when we're disconnected from ourselves, when we're disconnected from the whole of life, When all we think of ourselves as a little wave on the water, just one little branch or one little tree, and we miss our connectedness with all of life, then we're constantly looking for the outer world to validate us. We're constantly looking for the mirror, right? What's that out there? It's a reflection in a mirror. We're looking for the mirror to tell us we're okay, we're smart enough, we're good enough, we're worthy enough, we're deserving. Because we don't know that, because we're not plugged into the whole of life. When we come home, here and now, and realize our union with all of life, we no longer need the mirror. We no longer are even interested in the mirror, what the mirror has to say. Why? We're too busy being our true self. We're too busy lit up from within. So anyway, remember when Aang finally stands his ground because he has to protect Sokka? And then he stands his ground when Toph is taking his staff and smashing walnuts or something, or lychee nuts with it, or whatever it is, and he grabs it, and that's when he stands. He stands in his power, in your authority. And it doesn't come from anyone or anything. It doesn't come from a degree. It doesn't come from how much money you have. It doesn't come from fame. It comes from you connected with your true self.
So why is it then that he couldn't learn an element that is the same energy without taking that assertive action?
Excellent.
Why?
Because he's just like us. He's human. He's conditioned. And it's the same reason why it's difficult for someone who's been conditioned to be in fear all their lives or worry all their lives to be open and trusting and free. He is going through an unconditioning process. Remember we talked about reprogramming the subconscious mind? We've been on that for the New Year's resolutions. So he's up against that. He's just like we are. In other words, he's no different in that sense. We all have the ability to be the avatar, the master, the guru of our lives. And yet, what are we all up against? That same challenge.
Yeah.
We make that task difficult when someone else thinks it's easy and they're just doing it. What is that? That may be just falling in love, or that may just be being abundant, or that may be creative or genius or whatever. So we all look out to the world of the elements and we say, oh, that's easy. I can do that. Or forget it. I'll never do that. That's hard. But it's in here. It's the story in here that's doing that, not the thing, because what is it? All the same energy. All the elements, everything we're looking at is the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's what you was teaching them. Remember, air and fire and water and earth, they all look different. They all appear to have different natures, but they're all the same energy.
So what I was going to say, because you're bringing up elements, is that Uncle Iroh, during the same episode, I guess the opening to this question is, when you see, like, the firebenders, their whole concept was, like, oh, we got to share our greatness with the world because no one else understands it, right? Like, they're a firebender. They see a waterbender. They're like, well, I can't do that, so there's nothing to learn from that. But I'm a firebender, so let me push that all onto somebody else, what it means to be a firebender. Iroh tells Zuko that it's like, not everyone could lightning bend. That's just an ability that some people don't have. But I will teach you how to redirect it with a personal technique that I learned from the waterbenders, which is interesting because he then shows it's not just the avatar who can master all four elements. You can still take things from other elements, and that's the greatest separation, is the idea that it always goes back to, like, you're a firebender, you're limited to this, you're a waterbender, you're limited to this, and I think the show does a great job of beginning to open that up. So how do we get to the point of being the avatar and seeing beyond? Because you're right, people think always to the elements of that's that element and that's that element.
Right. What are the elements in your life? Yeah. Right. What are the elements in your? So it's a great question, and it comes back to this episode and the whole meaning. What's behind the interconnectedness of all things in the swamp? Until you know thyself, all you know is the fictitious entity, the identity of a separate body, this form. This form that has a history. I have a name. I have certain successes and joys and pains, and that's all I know of me. But when you know thyself, when you know your true self, you tap into, you go from an individual, a little water drop, tiny little being, whoosh, you expand. Your awareness opens up, and your mind is illumined, your heart is opened, and you realize that you're one with all of life. You realize this huge, greater energetic aspect of you that you haven't even been aware of, that you haven't been cooperating with, that you haven't been using in life, because it's invisible and you don't know anything about it, and thus because of that, it's dormant. It doesn't exist. It's subconscious. It's not reality.
Yeah.
It's airy fairy mumbo jumbo. But when you tune into it, when you have an experience of it, now all of a sudden it becomes real for you. And now all of a sudden you can begin to see the interconnectedness in all things. So now, instead of just that little wave on the ocean, or instead of just that little tree or that little branch, you've sunk down into the roots of being. Remember when Aang was sensing? Now he could tell where his friends were, Appa and Momo. Now you begin to see through the illusion of form. So the elements become... Remember we talked about the analogy of the TV screen? Okay, there's fire on a TV screen. There's a tree. There's water. There's the earth. It's a big mountain on a TV screen. What do they all owe their existence to?
Yeah.
The light that's shining through them, the energy. So now you begin to see that it's all just different forms of energy, the one energy. And when you unify, when you bring yourself into harmony, into oneness with that energy, now that energy is flowing through you. That energy is informing you. It's filling you with new ideas and wisdom and insights, and your true genius and your brilliance is able to shine forth. And that's when Iroh was stepping over the boundaries of traditional ways of being. Well, we're airbenders, we're firebenders, we're earthbenders. No, we'll learn from all walks of life, all religions, all philosophies, all people everywhere. Because when you travel, when you go visit other countries, you visit other folks, everyone is the same. Everyone is the same. And then all of a sudden these ideas start falling apart. But when you come home and you transcend the ideas in your mind, the limitations of your own beliefs, be-leaf, being a lie, when you transcend those in the realization of unity, now you're truly free. Because now you see everything as one thing, and it's you. So now fear falls away. Why? Because there's nothing separate from you to fear. You don't have to worry. Love returns. Why? Because the being you love the most, your child, your family, your pets, your friends, that's everyone. Everyone is the same one. Every wave is filled with the same water. Every tree is connected by, is one with the same roots. So the lion turtle said in the era before the avatar, in ages past, we bend not the elements, the outer world. We bent the energy within ourselves, right? And that's what changes our energy that we're sending out, and thus reflected back to us as the outer world. So there's great wisdom in that. And, even when we're bending the elements, even when we're manipulating form and matter, even when we're moving around, so you just took action, you lifted that up, we could do work, we're manipulating the elements. It's still our inner energy that's in motion. It's still our energy. So what we want to realize is there's this huge part of ourselves that's non-physical.
Yeah.
It's energetic. And when we tap in and tune into it, we can begin to work with it and use it, harness it, to bring about transformation and change in our world.
Yeah.
Yeah, the energy of our being. So we begin to bend that energy. Now, see, most of the time, though, we're just not unified with it. We're not at one. We're not here. Most of the time, we're just lost in our thoughts, thinking about the future, worrying about the future, thinking about the past, lamenting over the past. When we can be present, when we can be here and now, when we can slow down our thoughts, when we can quiet our mind, we enter that stillness, right?
Yeah.
And we begin to apply the wisdom of be still and know, that ancient wisdom. Be still. That's presence. That's listening. That's being in the state of grace here and now. And that's when we know what? Thyself. We remember the truth, that we're connected with all that is, that there's infinite energy here that we can direct. Remember we did the energy exercise in the last one? That we can direct and influence. We don't need to use our hands. We use just the energy of our being when we tune into it and become aware of it. And now we can direct that and we can we direct it through our intentions, through our thoughts and our feelings, through our heart and our mind. And that's where our energy goes. So wherever our focus goes, our energy flows, our life-giving energy flows, and we nourish that aspect of our lives. So if we're always focusing on what's wrong, what's bad, and what we're worried about, and everything that's negative in the world, that's where our energy is going. And that's what we're nourishing in our lives. That's what we're seeing more of. Why? Because that's what we're vibrating. That's what we're sending out. That's what's coming back. So we're just not present a lot of times. We're just not here and now most of the time. So these programs kick up, remember the subconscious programs, our buttons get pushed, these programs run, and we continue to feed them because we're unconscious. We're not there. So our life-giving energy, the light that's shining through our pixels, our television screen, that light just keeps feeding the old programs. And remember, it's just like feeding, remember the analogy of the two wolves? The good wolf and the evil wolf, and which wolf are you feeding? It's more really in terms of, we're talking about the swamp here in unity. One wolf is not good and the other evil. One wolf is unity and the other separation. And one wolf is real and true and the other is an illusion of appearance. And so when we can be grounded in this moment, then we allow ourselves to, instead of react to life and feed those unconscious patterns, we free our energy and we respond to life with a clear intention, deliberately. And we can do that right from within our own heart and mind and influence our world.
It's understandable in the world of Avatar to feel separation because it's an entire universe that's dedicated to the point that the Avatar is the master of the four elements and will bring balance to the world. But the Avatar is the only one that can use four elements, based in the canon of the show, that no one else can have two elements within their body. So it's easy for people to be like, I am this, I'm not the Avatar, so I can't bring people together. Right. I am a separate entity. Right. And I think that's big in the whole division.
It is. It's a big mindset.
Elements, because it's the special. It's whatever equivalent you want to use throughout
Matrix,
television history of
Neo's
being the one, basically.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting that it is a world built on division because there's elements.
Right.
And they're considered all to be separate.
Right. And it's natural that it appears that way and it looks that way. And it's not a common thing, right? Yeah. That we transcend that illusion, that we wake up. So again, we all have the potential to be the Avatar, the master of our lives. And what does that mean? That means we offer our thoughts and feelings intentionally and deliberately. We offer our vibration intentionally. Why? And it really happens when we're connected and unified with the whole. And again, as we're saying here, none of us really believe we're anything more than flesh and bone, little body, trying to struggle, get by. Right? Yeah. We don't really, no one believes they're like the one, like in the Matrix, like Neo, you're the one. You can reshape your own reality. Your thoughts and feelings do actually influence your destiny in the world around you. We don't always believe that. We don't always believe that we could be the special, like Emmett in the Lego movie. We don't believe that we can be the Avatar. We don't believe that we can be, we have altruistic ideals of being Christ-like, Buddha-like, being like Krishna, Muhammad, Moses, these spiritual leaders, these spiritual masters, being like Gandhi or Mother Teresa. So, giving, so loving, bringing loving kindness in everything we do. Well, how does that happen? That happens when we're unified with the whole of life. This comes back to what Yu's teaching them in the banyan tree, in their lesson here. We naturally lead with love. We naturally lead with compassion and understanding. We're naturally giving and wanting to serve and take care of everyone we meet when we realize we're all one family. When we realize there's only one of us here. When we realize that everyone and everything is our beloved. The being we love most in this world, your child, your family member, your friend, your pet, everyone is that being. Why? Because we're all filled with the same water. Yeah. Every wave is the ocean. There is no separation. And separation is the great lie. So what it is what we're all doing here is awakening to that truth. And this show, it's just amazing the way the creators of the show, again, put it together, because it's teaching our children and the adult children that are watching it how to remember this truth, to realize very, very simple, powerful realizations. And a big thing is, like you mentioned earlier, Josh, with Bhumi, how he was practicing neutral jinn, right? In other words, he was waiting and listening before responding to life, as opposed to just reacting. Buttons gets pushed. So today, here's an important thing. Just try it today, this week. When your buttons start to get pushed, when you start to feel yourself reacting, like you are watching something on the news, you're seeing something on the internet, someone says something to you, someone looks at you funny, whatever it may be, don't react. So as you're practicing your meditation on the bookends of your day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and you're practicing being still, you're practicing being present, you're taking that sacred time out to unify with the whole of life, with the divine presence here and now. Now it's easier for you to tune back into that during the day as your buttons get pushed. And will your buttons get pushed? Of course they will. Every human being has their buttons pushed. So when you feel attacked, when that email comes, that text message comes, when you see something that causes fear or makes you feel angry and you want to react, pause, stop, be present, breathe, relax, let it all go. Be still, enter this moment, be in this moment now, the peace of the present moment, this state of grace. And what happens when you do that, as we've been talking about, Josh, you overcome your reactive conditioning. You overcome that subconscious conditioning. Why? Because you're not feeding it anymore. You're not feeding that wolf of separation. And what do? You feed the wolf of unity. You join more and more in harmony with all that is. And now you begin to master your life. Now you become the avatar of your own existence. And so how do you get beyond all that's weighing you down today? How do you get beyond all of the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the fear, the frustration? You come back home and you unify with the whole of life, with the bigger picture, with something far larger than this world. And what it does, it begins to inform you, begins to bring you a sense of peace, because that peace is always there. It's always there. But we say, no, well, that it's not here right now because I'm stressed. I have to worry about this and worry about finances and health and my children and the future and everything. And you just get all overwhelmed. And what you want to do is just take those sacred timeouts throughout your day, that hourly chime on your watch, and you breathe, you relax, you come home, you stay present. You just keep coming back to this moment over and over and over again. And because that peace is always available to you, the peace that exists in the unity of being. And that's what this is so beautiful. This swamp is representing the unity of being.
Great. Perfect. Be the avatar in your life. That's the answers come like they do to Aang, as always. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the InnerMedia podcast. Check it out on YouTube. I'm just putting it out there right now. These will inevitably be on your Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and all the things you're looking for. So if you want to listen to it instead of watching it, keep tuned with that. But how do you keep notified by all this? Well, go to therealyou.net. I was just waterbending a little bit there, so hold on.
Therealyou.net.
Therealyou.net, which is TheRealu.net. Put it somewhere right down here. There you can get all the information you need. Check out the newsletter, everything we're posting on our social media and everything like that. Keep you all linked in. So thank you for tuning into InnerMedia. Go out there, get your enlightenment under the banyan tree like Hugh did. And thanks for tuning in.